The current weak market for developer jobs, saturation, and a frankly broken hiring processes has left many developers feeling lost. One of the many things unemployed techies do is learn new skills. When hunting for a job, however, the skills you should learn is not as clear as you would think. I wanted to help evaluate some of the data to provide direction in a job market that might feel a little labyrinthian at times. If you're watching this video, you probably have a tech stack you already have built up out of popular programming languages and technologies. And you've probably spent plenty of time looking at charts like this, talking about which skills are the most popular. But you deserve a more personal chart. It would be nice to see how a skill set matches the job market and what additional skills might help complement that skill set. To this end, I have built a dashboard that hopes to illuminate what the market might look like for you personally. You can use this dashboard to enter in your current tech stack and see how you measure up, as well as get recommended new things to learn. This is still an early build and has issues to work out, but the data is largely productive already and had already helped me, so I felt obligated to share it. If you aren't interested in a more technical description of what the dashboard is looking like under the hood, this is the end of the video. Good luck job hunting. Get the job you deserve. If you are still here, you must want to hear a bit more about the tech side of things. So the basic flow of the project was to scrape the jobs, put the descriptions into the Gemini API to get a basic list of the technologies involved in a particular post, then take that list, process it a bit to make it more usable, and this is by far the hardest step, and is still going on, so over time hopefully the project gets completed with a more perfect list. Feel free to post if you find technologies that are duplicates, but they really should be the same. I've learned some really interesting terminology and alternative names for particular technologies. Then we've got this usable list. We compare the list to the percentage of the overall job postings. We managed to scrape about 3,200 viable job postings. Viable just meaning it had at least one technology that was recognizable. And then we also count the overlap between different jobs. So if a job has Java in it and it has Python, then obviously these jobs are correlated somehow. And while this is a naive assumption, because obviously it could be, hey, we're looking for someone who programs in Java or Python, it's safe to assume that having both Java and Python would be beneficial for that job. So they're correlated, that's valuable. A few optimizations got made along the way, including counting each identical tech stack. A tech stack is really kind of murky because if a company uses 99% Python, 1% Java, that's not really the same as 50-50, but they end up being the same tech stack. This is also obviously an impossible problem to solve because hiring managers don't write out in their job postings, hey, we use 50-50 or 99-1%. So we just have to, unfortunately, pretend like everything in a job posting is weighted the same. In case you were curious about the most popular tech stack that showed up, about 1% of job listings, just under like 30, so like 0.009 something, was JavaScript, React, Ruby on Rails. Those three were extremely tightly clustered. Now, you might have heard me use AI earlier, Gemini API, and go, well, AI can get kind of fuzzy, can give you bad results. Why not go with a regex solution? And that was my first thought as well. And I went with a regex solution for a long time, and I got my data, and I did a really good job of processing it. But no matter what I did, it just wasn't robust enough to prevent really massive data issues. A really good example of this is AWS, which if you're going to do a project similar to this, you should really, really consider how you're going to handle this case, because pretty much nobody spells it the same way. Obviously, you put everything into lowercase, and that solves a lot of your issues, but pretty quickly, AWS, Amazon Web Services, Amazon Web, like all of these things, sometimes just Amazon, become kind of a parsing nightmare. In particular, Go, the Golang language, is incomprehensible to parse safely. Also, C++ runs into a lot of issues with C, because if you every time you have commas for delimiters in a list, you're handling special characters. It's just a total nightmare. And also, job postings often have things you haven't accounted for in your regex. My first solution was to naively assume that a survey of the top technologies would do well enough, but that just wasn't true. A lot of the job postings ended up having things like AI or ML for machine learning in them, which Gemini correctly found, which is wonderful. Gemini is a very powerful tool. But these were not things I was looking for. And obviously, lowercase AI in a job posting is not a wonderful thing to regex. Like, I know regex can solve all of these problems in isolation, but when you're doing regex for like 400 languages and technologies, and every single one of these has a dozen edge cases, or maybe that's hyperbolic, maybe it's like 3 edge cases, but it becomes unwieldy very quickly, and this is where Gemini really came in handy. Yeah, there's a few other things that I think factor in here that you should really consider as you're using this tool. You stuck around long enough that you should be aware that the value of these technologies is not all the same. And like, you'll see HTML pop up, for instance, and it's like, oh great, so many jobs list HTML, but every single job that lists JavaScript probably expects you to know HTML, CSS to the point where they don't even list it. So there are limitations to this method like that. Also, I really want to stress, if you're watching this video all the way to the end to get any glimmer of hope, that the frequency at which your tech stack will meet a job perfectly is so rare. It just doesn't happen. You can learn a dozen programming languages and you're still mostly entirely unqualified for the market. Your job matches are still mostly going to be 50% matches. And I think that is an inherent flaw in the computer science fields, is that we're so fractured into these a million tools. It's kind of like if painters all had to use a very specific paintbrush and master them, and there's hundreds of them. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And all that I mean in the end is that you're not going to be able to apply to jobs that you have a tech stack that matches the company's tech stack, because first of all, the odds of your tech stack matching a particular company's is tiny. Even as you like continue to pile on all of these languages and technologies, you see how little of a difference it makes in the total number of job postings. You're still always missing something. It's just not feasible. Like, look, we have 3 people's worth of technologies here that they could be able to proficiently perform with each of these. You're not even getting one of the technologies for 37% of the job listings. You're below 25% in like 22% of jobs. You can't limit yourself to just stuff you know really well, to just this top 5% where you're a really good match. And I think that the basic learning skills, the basic tech skills you've picked up in your existing tech stack will be enough. Don't be fooled by the chart. It's there to tell you what's most useful, not how useful you are. I want to say thank you for sticking around and listening to my little technical ramble. Feel free to send me a message or a comment, and I'd be very happy to discuss anything. Have a lovely day.